Hey y'all, this is take 2. I forgot to do the PS at the end of the last one I did for tonight, so I'm doing it over. The question was for tonight, or the question I'm answering tonight was, how do I get out of the depression of attracting unhealthy people into my life? And before I even let another word come out of my mouth, I'm going to say this. I would never tell you to do something that I haven't tried, and I would never tell you to do something that doesn't work. Well, that didn't work for me. Because what works for me might not work for you, but I can only tell you what worked for me. So, how do we stop attracting unhealthy people into our lives? Especially with love relationships, because that was actually what the question was referring to. So here's my answer. Put yourself on timeout. And I'm not kidding. I did that. In fact, I am still in timeout. On June 10th of last year, I was journaling and I was lamenting to God about all the unhealthy relationships I have attracted into my life. And basically what he said is, well, Cheryl, what do you want? And I was like, well, I don't know. Prince Charming. Well, what does that mean? Well, I don't know. Was that who you're with right now? No. Definitely not. Well, then why are you with him? Because if Prince Charming shows up and you're busy with this guy, Prince Charming might think, oh, well, don't have a chance, so I'm out of here, and leave. And I'm like, He says, what do you want? And I said, I want the happily ever after. So he said, maybe you need to take a break and figure out exactly what that means to you and exactly how can you attract that into your life. So I put my pen down, called the guy that I had been dating casually, and I said, we're not going to see each other anymore. And I told him, I said, I've got some things going on that I need to address, and I really need to be focused on that. And he was very nice about it, and he kept calling back and texting back and saying, you sure you didn't change your mind, or, whatever. But after I called him, I went and got in the mirror, and I looked at myself, and I said, okay, Cheryl, what do you want? What do you want? And what is it about you that you don't think you're worthy of it? Go figure that out. So whenever I tell you to take a time out, take yourself off the market. I've not even entertained the idea of a date. And I've remained celibate for over a year, since June 10th of last year. And it's no big deal. And I'm not a prude. By any means, by any stretch of the imagination, I am not. But I am 54 years old, and that's basically a lot of the talk I had with myself. I am 54 years old. I don't want to keep doing that same thing over and over and over again. So I've got to figure out, what is it about me that keeps attracting them in? So yeah, put yourself on timeout. I think the very first step you actually already took, because you said in the question, and this is something for everybody to hear, why do I keep attracting unhealthy relationships? Because we do attract to us our match. Life is a mirror. Everything on the outside is a reflection of what's in here. That's just the way it is. We hear it all the time. We hear it as within, so without, as above, so below, all those things. We hear about raising our vibration. So whenever we are vibrating here at an unhealthy place, it's only natural that we're going to vibrate around with all the people that are unhealthy just like us, right? But if we can take ourselves off the market and look inside and figure out what is it about us And it's usually about our own insecurities that we don't believe we're worthy. And we are worthy. So when we can get to that place of understanding our worthiness, when we can get to that place, we were born worthy, by the way. When we can get to that place of raising our vibration, with each, it's a journey. With each step, we get a little bit, our vibration comes up a little bit more. Our vibration comes up a little bit more because we love ourselves a little bit more. So we get to this place where we're vibrating a little bit higher, and this person can't vibrate on this level. He can probably come up here and say something and try to get in, but you're vibrating up here and you're going to say, and I hate doing it like that because it doesn't mean you're better than anybody. It just means you're vibrating at different speeds, right? So he might come in and say, let's see, I can't do it at different speeds, but he might come in or she might come in and try to get back into your good graces or whatever, but it's not going to tug at your heartstrings anymore. You know why? Because you're vibrating higher, because you believe in yourself more. So now you're going to say, okay, Cheryl, how do I believe in myself more? It starts with, I'm going to tell you that whenever I left my husband 3 years ago and moved into this house, God basically said, I want you to sit down and write out a list of what makes you worthy, of what makes you lovable. And I was like, are you serious? Yeah, I'm serious. So I got a notebook and an ink pen, and I sat down and I stared at that blank page pretty much the whole day. It was almost a whole day before I could write anything on it. And it was a couple days before I had that one page full of things that were good about me. So it's easy for us to tell other people, like I'll see somebody on the street and I'll say, hey, beautiful. But if somebody says that to me, I'm like, well, I'm not real beautiful. Look at my hair. My hair's so thin and like straw. And, I start picking out all these horrible things about me. So when we can, I had a customer one time. I owned a jewelry store at one time, and this lady came and to have a beautiful ring handmade or handcrafted. And whenever I was checking her out, I knew her. She's from our community, and I'm from a small community. But whenever I was going to check her out, I don't know what happened with the cash register. It was probably a Mercury retrograde or something, because the cash register wasn't working. I said, oh, I'm so stupid sometimes. And she said, don't you, she got real serious about it. Don't you ever let me hear you talking about yourself that way. I said, well, I'm just picking. She says, Cheryl, don't you talk about yourself that way. That was probably like 5 years ago, and I can still hear her say it, and I can still feel her energy whenever she said it. She was very serious. And I've been doing self-help and spiritual journey I'm 54, probably started when I was 13, the spiritual journey, but 30 years, 40 years, I don't know, a long time, 20 years, 30 years. Let me do the math. 54 minus, I'm going to say 20. But I actually started in church before that, but having issues with church after that. 20. So that'd be 34 years. Okay, 34 years. So for 34 years, I've been on this spiritual journey and self-help journey. Learned about positive thinking whenever I was about 25, and we're going to have a whole one of these segments on that. On one of our daily mails, because I have very strong feelings about that too. But anyway, it's easy for us to try to compliment other people, but we don't take compliments well. And whenever we can't take a compliment, it's because we feel like we're not worthy of it. So how to heal yourself from attracting unhealthy people is to get healthy. So put yourself on a timeout and work on whatever it is that you need to work on to get healthy. And it's going to be an inside job. It really will. And I'm telling you, it's so beneficial because if we truly want to have a lasting, healthy relationship, we have to be healthy, right? We have to be. And we can't for 1 second think that it's always everybody else's fault. I've told another story in a reading. I think I've told it in a reading. Might have been in, I don't remember. I tell a lot of stories, but this one in particular, and this would have been a time whenever my guides were probably trying to tell me something to get my attention, but I wasn't ready to hear it. So you may not be ready to hear what I'm saying right now, but this is an example of how that goes sometimes. I was leaving work. I was on my way to sign my divorce papers, third divorce, right? On my way to sign those papers. And the guy that, one of the guys that worked with me, whenever I was walking out, he says, "Where are you going?" And I said, "I've got to go to the attorney's office to sign my divorce papers." He went, "Oh, Cheryl," he said, "how many is that for you?" I said, "That's number 3. And he said, he says, "All those men can't be that bad." He says, "There can't be something wrong with all of them." He says, "There is a common denominator, though. If you look in the mirror, you'll probably find it." And I just rolled my eyes and mumbled something. I think I probably said F you or whatever and walked out. I wasn't ready to hear that. But he was right. Because if I go back now that I've started, making myself healthy, that I can detach and truly look at those relationships, he was right. I was a pain in the butt. My daughter, she's 23 or 24 years old. She's 25. Sorry. I have 3 daughters and 1 son. But my 25-year-old daughter said, because I had this huge revelation about how I had showed up in my first marriage, that I was actually quite abusive verbally and emotionally. And that's not something I'm proud of. It's something that I'm glad that I know, because now that I know it, I can fix it, right? But anyway, so she and I are sitting on the sofa having a conversation. I'm telling her about this revelation, about my understanding about how I showed up. And she says, "I just don't understand how after all these years that you raised me and I understood that he was the abusive one, now you just want me to accept that it was you that was abusive." And I said, "Courtney, I want you to do me a favor." I said, "I want you to think about our life whenever y'all were kids, our life in the house all together." I said, "How many times did I turn around and say something to your dad and you thought, 'God, Mom, you're such a bitch'?" And she just looked at me and I said, "How many times?" She says, "Well, probably at least a few." I said, "Okay." I said, that verbal abuse is just as horrible, if not worse sometimes, than physical abuse. And so back to healing. So that's been part of my healing journey, because I asked God, show me. So he had to show me. But you know what? He tried to show me all those years ago when I went to get that third divorce. He tried to show me back then by letting that guy say something that might make me think a little bit. But it didn't, because you know why? I was too smart. There was nothing wrong with me. It was those idiots. I mean, I was okay. I worked hard. I made more money probably than my husband's most of the time. Blah, 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 blah. I was it. But I couldn't stay married because I always felt like there was something wrong with them. It was me. Anyway, so yes. So how do I heal from attracting unhealthy relationships? Heal yourself first. Take a time out. Real quick, we're going to talk about Ho'oponopono, because that's something that TT put in the comments under that, to try that. And she's right. And I have used it, and it's incredible, because to heal to heal ourselves, it really is an inside job. And it truly is true that whenever we have somebody in our space that's triggering us, they're trying to show us something in ourselves, not on purpose. It's just that's how vibration and energy works. We attract who we are. We attract our matches. So whenever somebody's triggering you, not out loud to them, but just say it to yourself. I am so sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And say it as many times as you can. Because what's going to happen is you're going to turn that I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. I start out directing it at whoever it is that's bothering me. And then it eventually turns to myself because I realize that it's actually me. So I'm end up asking myself, I'm sorry, or telling myself, I'm sorry. Please forgive me and thank you and I love you. And the other thing that it does is it takes those negative energies that send all those stress hormones to our extremities and neglect our core. It takes all those negative emotions and stuff and neutralizes them. It might not do it the first time you say it, but let me tell you, those 4 statements are so powerful, and it's called Ho'oponopono. Go look it up. There's lots of information out there on the internet. They explain the history of it, the thought process behind it, but it does work. It neutralizes those negative energies and allows your body to go back into homeostasis, where your brain can start releasing the chemicals that actually nurture your core organs and your blood flow and all that. So you go into homeostasis, then you can sleep better and you can think clearer and all that. So that's all part of that healing. That Ho'oponopono helps to neutralize all that. And it does. It clears and it cleans that energy. So I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And I love you. 4 very powerful statements. You don't have to verbalize it to anybody. Just say it. Just make sure you're saying it in your mind. Even while they're talking, if they're still aggravating you, you get more and more angry. Just sit there and just watch them, but say that to yourself. And when you walk away, say it. Or if somebody comes up in your brain and they're aggravating you, the thoughts of them are aggravating you, say it. It's amazing. Add it to your meditation and your prayers. It's amazing. Okay, so we're going to do a PS. This is why I had to redo the whole thing, because I forgot to do the PS in the other one. Okay, God, guides, angels, archangels, Holy Spirit. We're going to do the PS on this. How do I heal from attracting unhealthy people into my life? Please give us the PS in case there's something I forgot to say, or if there's anything you want to add. Please give us the PS for how do I heal from attracting unhealthy people. Be inspired. You have to actually be inspired to be able to heal yourself. And I feel like, Susan, the one that asked this question, that you are inspired because you said it the right way. How do I heal from attracting people like that into my life? That was an inspired question. And this is telling me that your guides, your angels, your whole team on the other side, they're ready to help you find your value. They're inspired by that question. They're ready to get into the trenches with you and help you find your value and find your self-worth so that you can raise your vibration. I love this. And anybody else watching this, it's for you too, or somebody you know. They want you to have smoother waters too. I have chills so bad. They are definitely trying to move you towards smoother waters in this journey. That's what they want for you. Because you know why? Because that's what your soul wants at the deepest level of yourself. So yes, they're wanting you to move to smoother waters. I love God so much. This is your future. This is your future. You have to believe that this is your future. Because when you believe the fairy tale, when you believe the happily ever after, and you do the work, it's like life becomes so much easier to walk through. We don't have to play games and order all those classes about how do I make him love me? How do I make him or her want me so bad? Blah blah blah. You know, those classes that they sell. We don't have to do that. We just have to become the best version of ourselves, and then the very best of anything that we could possibly attract into our life is going to show up. That is a promise. Okay, so your first step, put yourself on timeout and go to work. Thank you so much for stopping in. That's Daily Mail for today. Have a great day. Bye.